Good morning.
Good morning.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 348, Guide My Feet. Please remain standing for a moment while I invite the Clem Teodoro family forward to light our chalice, and we will recite our covenant. Enriched by our differences and joined together in our search for meaning, we covenant with ourselves and each other to seek truth in a spirit of love, to strive for justice, and to serve others with a joyful heart. Thank you. You may be seated. Welcome to the UU Church of Delaware County. This is a congregation that endeavors to welcome all, and I'm so glad you've joined us today. My name is Chrissy Bushhager. I am the Director of Religious Education. I am serving today with Reverend Ed Brock, our interim minister, and Bob Rowland, our music director. We are supported by volunteers in our tech booth and our hospitality teams. This is our annual social justice service for Martin Luther King weekend. This is a multi-generational service, so our children and youth are here with us through the whole service. If you are visiting for the first time today, you've picked a unique and exciting day to come to UUCDC. This is not our typical worship format. Today we begin together in the sanctuary for some centering, singing, and a story, and then we'll break off into some social justice themed workshops. And after some time, we'll come together to the sanctuary to close our service. If you're joining by Zoom today, we invite you to participate by interacting with others on Zoom. You can use closed captioning if that's helpful for you. After the service, our Zoom participants are invited to stay for a virtual coffee hour. Our in-person folks are also invited to stay for coffee hour, and today is a special day because our Yucky youth group are having a soup lunch today, so you're invited to stay for our soup lunch. One more announcement. I want to remind you that next Saturday night is our annual chili chocolate homebrew event. This is a highlight of our church year. It's a wonderful evening of sampling chilies, chocolate desserts, homebrew. I spent all weekend perfecting a chocolate dessert that is sure to wow everyone. It wowed my family last night. I am I am ready for the green apron, people. I've been chasing it for years. I have not won. Fingers are crossed. But Janet tells me that there are still spots available to enter. So please, enter. There's space in the chili category, the chocolate category, the homebrew category, and for children under 14, you can enter in the children's chocolate category. That is a super fun thing. Both my kids have entered when they were that age, and they had a great time. So Janet, if you will wave your hand, Janet's in the back, you can speak to Janet after the service. Oh, and Kelly Schweitzer as well. You can ask them any questions, but if you would like to be part of Chili Chocolate, certainly come and attend, buy tickets. It's a great night out, but if you want to be part of the competition, it's a lot of fun, and you might win one of the coveted green aprons. All right, now let us settle and enter into worship together by singing our meditation on breathing. Each Sunday, we gather in worship, bringing whatever joys or concerns are on our hearts that day. Now is the time in our service where we can engage in a ritual where we drop a stone into a bowl of water, symbolizing the carrying of those joys and sorrows into community together. As the stone sends ripples through the water, so our joys and sorrows ripple through our community and are shared together. We invite you at this time to drop a stone into the water. You may come forward along the side, go back to your seat through the center aisle. If you're joining us on Zoom, you can share your joys and concerns in the chat. I'll drop one final stone for all the joys and concerns expressed on Zoom and those of those who were not with us today.
Good morning. For some, prayer is a metaphor for heightened self-awareness or becoming more centered or being aware of what is most important. For others, it is an experience of the self connecting with the sacred in life, however one imagines that, and in a spirit that is in harmony with your understanding and your integrity. I invite you to join with me, as you are willing and able, in a spirit of collective prayer as I read from two sources of prayer that come to us through the ages, because that's one of the interesting things about prayer and meditation, is that it has been practiced for hundreds and hundreds of years by the human species. And I share with you now a prayer from Hildegard of Bingen, a Catholic woman far, far ahead of her time, and a prayer that comes to us from anonymous sources. Fire of the Spirit, life of the lives of creatures, spiral of sanctity, bond of all natures, glow of charity, lights of clarity, taste of sweetness to the fallen, be with us and hear us. Composer of all things, joy in the glory, strong honor, be with us and hear us. Let us open our minds and hearts to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. Amen. Could we join together, remaining seated in spirit of life? I ask David to come forward at this time to share with us information about our plate sharing this month.
Good morning. Our Share the Plate recipient this month is Thresholds. Thresholds is an educational program for men and women residing in Delaware County prisons, especially the George W. Hill Correctional Facility. UUCDC members help Thresholds to take hold in Delaware County more than 40 years ago, and this congregation has been involved in the years since. Hundreds of women and men have benefited from this educational program over the years. Your contribution this morning will help that to continue this year and beyond. Thank you for your generosity.
We have a special story today, my friends. If you are small and can't see very well, there's some seats in the front, or you can have a parent lift you up a little bit, so. Once upon a time, there was a golden retriever named Carl, and he was a very good boy.
Oh, I am. Ever since I was a pup, my mom, she taught me the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Whenever I didn't know how to treat my siblings in my litter, I would just think about how I wanted to be treated and do that.
He was friends with a Persian cat named Cupcake, and she tolerated him as cats do.
Carl, what are you doing today while the food givers are at work?
Well, today is Random Act of Kindness Day, and I'm going to do randomly kind things for all our roommates.
That sounds interesting. Who are you going to start with?
I'm going to give Jeannie one of my bones.
You're going to give Jeannie, the rabbit, one of your bones?
Oh, yeah. Bones are my favorite treat. She'll love it.
And off he went to give Jeannie before Cupcake could say another word.
Dogs.
Sometime later, Carl came back, dejected.
What's wrong, Carl?
Someone's phone's ringing.
They better turn that off.
Well, Jeannie didn't like my bone at all. She even thumped her feet at me. She was so mad.
I wonder why.
It's a great mystery. I guess she's just in a bad mood. I always love bones.
Maybe treats aren't the best vehicle for cross-species bonding.
Maybe you're right. Oh, I'll try a toy next. I'm going to give Scales my very best tennis ball. It's going to be hard to part with it since I love it so much, but it would be worth it to make Scales happy.
Scales, the snake.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to run and play with Scales. He's just going to love chasing after the ball.
Carl, how is Scales going to chase the ball?
Well, with his legs.
His legs?
Uh-huh.
His legs. Carl!
Yeah, that's how chasing the ball works, Cupcake.
Carl, does Scales the snake have legs?
Oh. Well, I guess he doesn't.
Do you think that if you want to play with Scales, then maybe you should ask him how he wants to play?
Carl blinked at Cupcake and then moved off at a slower pace, deep in thought. Carl was gone for a long time, which gave Cupcake a chance to catch up on her Sudoku. But eventually, he came back.
Oh, hey, Carl. How'd things go with Scales?
Oh, Cupcake, it was great. I asked Scales if he wanted to play, and he said yes. So I asked him, how? And he said there was a sunny spot in the yard he never gets to visit because it's too far away for him. So he got on my back, and I took him to the yard, and we basked in the sun.
You basked?
Oh, yeah, it was the best. Nice and warm, and I even rolled on my back and felt the sun on my belly, and Scales loved it.
Well, gosh, Carl, I think I'm a little jealous.
Yeah?
That sounds wonderful.
Oh, yeah. Well, that went so well, it gave me another idea. So when I brought Scales back to his terrarium, I stopped by Jeannie's rabbit hutch and apologized for the bones and asked her what she wanted.
Really? And what did she want?
Clover! Honestly, I tried some, and I am not a fan, but Jeannie liked it, and that's the important thing.
It sounds like you learned something today.
Yep. When I was a puppy, the golden rule, do unto others as you want them to do unto you, made a lot of sense. And it worked really well because everyone I was with was also a puppy. But now I have different friends who might need different things than what I want.
Carl, you've discovered the platinum rule. Do to others as they would have you do to them.
Which means I have to ask them what they would like.
That's right. All right, now let's go get some catnip.
Cupcake.
Just kidding, Carl. I'll get some catnip and you can get whatever it is that dogs like.
The end. In a moment, it'll be time to go to our social justice workshops. You can find a listing of them in your order of service. If you want to join Bob's pop-up choir, that is happening right here in the sanctuary. It is going to be a lot of fun. In the youth room, there is going to be building blocks. We are building beloved community, so this is a way to practice that with building blocks. There's also some discussion questions in that room. Our 5th and 6th grade class has been learning about the environment, and they are presenting a workshop on using paper towels responsibly. So if you want to go and listen to our 5th and 6th graders educate you about some of the things they've been learning about, you can visit them in the Owl's Nest, that's downstairs. UU Plan is going to be writing postcards about raising the minimum wage and public school funding in McLennan. That's on this floor. If you go straight back. In the chapel right below us, we are going to be assembling some snack bags for shut-ins and people experiencing homelessness. And also downstairs, we're making some reusable tissue holders. That's also coming from our climate action team. So those are some of the things that are happening around the building. If you're new to the building and don't know where things are, ask someone. We'll be walking around trying to show people where things are. When you hear the chime, that means it's time to come back into the sanctuary to finish out our service. So at this time, you may go off to your justice workshops. To make our way back in, and we're not, haven't gone to soup lunch yet, although it's tempting from the smell. If you are part of our pop-up choir, now is your time to shine, so please come forward. Pop up. Pop up, yes.
Yes, Papa is saying. Getting feedback, I can tell that.
Fabulous. Could you sing every Sunday like that? That's just spontaneously. I love the way this congregation has special rituals or traditions, and one of them that I really love is what you're doing today and what you did prior to Christmas, which is to have a service where people are invited and encouraged to go do something that's active, and it really says something and gives a big message. The theme of the day is, to some extent, the beloved community. In 1913, a Harvard professor named Joshua Royce created the term the beloved community. He believed that our lives were always connected to groups of people, that we existed in and through groups of people as surely as we existed as individuals, and that our life with communities, with others, was probably more important than our solitary individual life. And so he created this notion that, yes, we have communities of families, we have communities of various organizations, but he said a very important community is what he called the beloved community, which embraced everyone and embraced the idea of living for principles and values that transcended individual interest. Martin Luther King Jr. took up this notion of the beloved community as a young minister and theologian. And we find it in his very earliest writings. In 1957, for example, writing about the newly formed Southern Christian Leadership Conference, he said, "The ultimate aim of SCLC is to foster and create the beloved community in America, where brotherhood and sisterhood is a reality." Behind King's understanding of beloved community lay his belief and certainty that human existence is deeply social in nature. The solidarity of the human family is a phrase he frequently used to express this idea. He wrote, "We are tied together in the single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Personal growth, he went on to say, cannot take place apart from meaningful relationships with other persons. The eye cannot attain fulfillment without the other. King saw a vision of the beloved community in the civil rights movement that emerged around him and the people who worked with him. After the march in Montgomery in the spring of 1966, several thousand marchers were delayed in an airport because their planes were late, and King observed them milling about in the airport and said that he was deeply impressed by the diversity yet obvious unity of the crowd that he saw there. As I stood with them, he wrote, and saw persons, black persons and nuns and priests and ministers and rabbis, labor organizers, lawyers, doctors, housemaids, and shop workers brimming with vitality and enjoying a rare comradeship. And I knew I was seeing, he wrote, a microcosm of the humankind of the future in this moment of luminous and genuine brotherhood and sisterhood. King was also a realist. And although he labored all of his life to bring about the realization of the beloved community and really believed in its existence in the future, he was also realistic. He encouraged us to avoid what he called a superficial optimism on the one hand, but also avoid, on the other hand, a crippling pessimism. He knew that addressing social problems was a slow process. At the very same time, he lived his life based on the idea that social progress in every way would prevail. And it was through never ceasing human struggle that would occur. Thus, Reverend King was acutely aware that the beloved community is not yet, but in the future, perhaps in the distant future. But he believed that it would eventually be actualized, and we are right now part of that great dream that Dr. King had, that the beloved community would one day be realized. And we do it, he wrote and thought, by creating a community that cares for other people, especially those who are marginalized and least valued by our society, and by creating a community where, although there is conflict from within, it is conflict that is dealt skillfully as a model to the world and as a way of being vital to others. Why would a community of faith be involved in social action? Isabel Sawhill, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute, addressed that in one of her essays. She noted that the framers of the Constitution understood very well human frailties and weaknesses and passions. And so they designed a set of institutions that created many checks and balances so that power would not be abused. But the framers of the Constitution also assumed something. She writes, what they assumed was that we would live in a nation in which civic virtue would be practiced and instilled in people by families, schools, and faith-based congregations. This is one of the vital functions that we have as an institution in society trying to bring about the beloved community. The world we experience today is increasingly fragile as we face new and severe problems of climate change, political upheavals, and ongoing wars throughout the world. what we do with one another in trying to create the beloved community has never been more important. Let us rise as we are willing and able, in body or in spirit, for our closing hymn, number 121, We'll Build a Land. Please do not forget the great importance of being a part of the chili chocolate home brew extravaganza. Please try to find Janet or Kelly to make your participation known. They're eager to hear from you. And now could you join with me as we extinguish the chalice in our benediction. For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. And those who come seek a path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it step by step. Blessed be.